The SEC has released their preseason polls. Is Texas A&M in the right spot? Let's talk about it next on Locked On Aggies.
You are Locked On Aggies, your daily podcast on the Texas A&M Aggies, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. You are Locked On the Texas A&M Aggies. My name is Matt Galatzan, and I'm your host. Thank you for making Locked On Aggies your first listen of the day. I'm on my own today. Usually I have one of my co-hosts with me, but that was unable to happen today. That's okay. We're going to rock and roll just me. First things first, the SEC has released their preseason polls after SEC Media Days. It was a long week in Atlanta. All the media in attendance got to vote, and we got the results. So we're gonna comb through them here, starting with the team rankings and where they think everybody is going to finish in the SEC standings, and then in the second half of the show, we will get into all SEC teams and where some Aggies sit in there, and what the first teams are, and all that good stuff. But let's start with the standings. The predicted SEC champion. First of all, the media voted that Texas was the overwhelming favorite with 96 first place votes to win the SEC next season, followed by Georgia with 44 votes, Alabama with 29, LSU rounding out the top four there with 20 votes. Then there is a massive drop-off, and you get South Carolina with 5 votes at number 5. Texas A&M not even listed on the SEC champion selections there. Not a huge surprise, I guess, unless you consider the fact that somebody voted for Auburn, somebody voted for Ole Miss, somebody voted for Tennessee, 2 people voted for Florida, Vanderbilt got 2 votes, and Oklahoma got 3 votes. I think Texas A&M has a much better shot to make the SEC championship and win it outright than any of those teams do, particularly Auburn, Vanderbilt, Tennessee, and Oklahoma. Florida, you never know what can happen. They're a super talented team. Ole Miss also, you don't know. They could. It's hard to believe, though, that any of those teams have a better shot than Texas A&M. But now we move on to the projected order of finish, and this is again not too. This one is not too bad for Texas A&M. We have Texas as the projected first place finish with 3,060 points. Georgia at number 2 with 2,957 points. Alabama at number 3 with 2,783 points. LSU next with 2,668 points, followed by South Carolina, Florida, and Ole Miss, rounding out that top 7. And then coming in at number 8 is your Texas A&M Aggies with 1,892 points. I think this is a much more realistic selection here rather than the champion one that left A&M off completely, because the projected finish was the majority voting for, where these teams are going to finish, and they have A&M finishing above Tennessee, Oklahoma, Auburn, Missouri, Vanderbilt, Arkansas, Kentucky, and Mississippi State. I think that's some more rational thinking. If you ask me, I don't think that they should be too high just yet, even though I do think they're being underrated and underappreciated so far in this preseason. In this offseason. I could make the argument that, they're going to be a better football team than Ole Miss, as much as that, is hard, maybe hard for some people to believe. Coming from me, A&M has the more experienced quarterback. They have the best offensive line in the SEC, in my opinion. They have the potential to have the best ground game in the SEC, in my opinion. All things which Ole Miss is an unknown with. I think that you could say that Texas A&M might even have a better receiver core, though I think that's more of a toss-up there. And then on the defensive side of the ball, Ole Miss has so many new transfers coming in that it's hard to tell what they're going to be, whereas Texas A&M has a lot of returners and a lot of returning talent on that side of the ball, including, Bryce Anderson, Des Ricks, Will Lee III, Tyreek Chappell, Torian York, Scooby Williams, Albert Regis, Cassius Howe. You could go on and on down the list. And there's plenty to like about that Texas A&M roster on the defensive side of the ball as far as returning talent goes. And, I think that you could probably make a better argument that Florida or South Carolina most of these teams that finish above Texas A&M in this projected order of finish, you can make a rational case for. Florida, they have one of the best quarterbacks in the country in DJ Lagway coming back, and they're expected to take a major step forward this year in his first full year as the starter. South Carolina has the best quarterback in college football, in my opinion, in the North Sellers. They have two of the biggest freaks in college football in Dylan Stewart and Nick Harbor at edge and wide receiver, respectively. I really like Shane Beamer as a head coach. I think they're going to put up a lot of points this season. I think that they're going to put up surprisingly good defensive effort as well, and they could find themselves in a playoff, contending for a playoff spot. LSU is kind of a Frankenstein's monster in my brain. I don't know what to make of their defense. I don't really know what to make of their running game, but I think they're going to have the best passing game in the SEC and maybe even in the country for a Power 4 school. Garrett Nussmeier is an amazing quarterback. I just need to see the rest of that team come together. But if it comes down to a shootout when these two teams face off in Baton Rouge next season, I would take Garrett Nussmeier over Marcel Reed in that sense, just because Garrett Nussmeier is a much more experienced guy, and he might be the number one pick in the NFL draft next year. We don't know. Alabama is going to be Alabama, second year under Kalen DeBoer. Easy to see why they're in contention there. Georgia is the Georgia Bulldogs, and Texas has Arch Manning and arguably the best roster in the country returning. So, I think Texas A&M fits in there nicely at number 8. I think that you could probably make the argument that they're number 6 right now, with the potential to challenge for an SEC championship next season. But let's take a quick break. And when we come back, I will break down the SEC Preseason Media Day All-SEC team, which has quite a few Aggies and some surprises in there. So stick with us, and we'll be right back on the other side of this break. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're about baseball, under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. Whether I'm placing a same-game parlay or watching a bet right into the fourth quarter, FanDuel makes it feel like I'm part of the action. New to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. All right, now it's time to break down the All-SEC teams. We're doing a quick show today because it's your boy's birthday, and he doesn't have a lot of time. It's been a busy day, but we're going to get through it. We're going to get a show up, and it's going to be a good one. We're enjoying it so far. So let's break down the 2025 Preseason Media Days All-SEC team. It was a bit of a surprise, in my opinion, with a couple of these picks here. But let's go through where the Aggies are first. I think that's the most important part because we're just Locked On Aggies after all. Le'Veon Moss comes in as first team offense at running back alongside Quintravian Wisner at Texas. So a lot of people projecting him to return to form and be at the forefront of the SEC, because he did lead the SEC in rushing last season before he got injured in the second half of the season there. So good one there for Le'Veon Moss. Then we have offensive lineman Armaj Reed Adams coming in as a second team offensive lineman. A little bit surprising to me, considering a lot of people believe him to be the best interior offensive lineman in terms of the guard position in college football. But at first team there, it's hard to argue against DJ Campbell at Texas or Austin Barber at Florida. Both teams are going to have very good interiors there. But I believe Armaj Reed Adams should be first team. I'm going to put that out there right now. I think he got snubbed. You move on down the list. You have Chase Bizantis at offensive line as well on the third team offense. And as you're noticing a trend here, we're going to do defense in a minute. Don't worry, guys. And so three all SEC players for Texas A&M there. Oh, and sorry, we skipped second team, Trey Zune, offensive tackle for Texas A&M. So Texas A&M has three all SEC offensive linemen in the preseason from SEC Media Day voting. They have a pretty dang good offensive line, folks, and I will die on that hill for sure. Then we move over to the defensive side of the ball, and we're moving on down the list here. Torian York is the only Aggie that makes an all-SEC preseason team here. I find that very surprising. I do think he's probably the second or third best linebacker in college football, with alongside Anthony Hill and probably Whit Weeks over at LSU. Maybe C.J. Allen can get his name in the conversation there as well at Georgia. But leaving Will Lee off is a bit surprising to me. Leaving Cassius Howell off the list as well is a bit surprising to me. I think both of those guys are going to have very good seasons for Texas A&M, particularly Howell. I think he's going to be one of the best edge rushers in the SEC this season. It's a bit of a shock there. But we'll go through the entire defense right now, and then I'll circle back and I'll go through all the offensive teams after that. First team All-SEC defense, we have Keldrick Falk from Auburn, Dylan Stewart from South Carolina, Colin Simmons from Texas, and Christian Miller from Georgia on your first team defensive line. We have at linebacker, we have Anthony Hill from Texas, Whit Weeks from LSU, and C.J. Allen from Georgia. And then in defensive back, we have K.J. Bolden from Georgia, Michael Taft from Texas, Dalen Everett from Georgia, and Jermon McCoy from Tennessee. Pretty star-studded first-team defense there. You move down to the second team. You get Caleb on the defensive line. You get Caleb Banks from Florida, Tim Keenan III from Alabama, LT Overton, former Aggie, at Alabama, and R. Mason Thomas from Oklahoma. The linebackers are Deontay Lawson from Alabama, LSU's Harold Perkins, and Ole Miss's Sunshine Perkins. Be a Perkins, and you will get second team all offensive line, all SEC all SEC defense. Excuse me. Defensive backs are Malik Muhammad from Texas, Damani Jackson from Alabama. I completely skipped over Will Lee III. He is second team all SEC on this list. Apologies in advance. Apologies in reverse, however you say it. I completely skipped over Will Lee. He is a second team all SEC preseason guy, so the Aggies do have two guys there. And then the defensive back, Jalen Kilgore from South Carolina. Third team all SEC. On defense, we have Tyreek Sapp from Florida, Trey Moore from Texas, Cam Bell from Arkansas, and Xavier Harris from Ole Miss along the defensive line. We have Torian York from Texas A&M, Arian Carter from Tennessee, and Principal Umami Ellen from Ole Miss. I got that right on the first try. Nice. And then defensive back, Keon Saab from Alabama, Boo Carter from Tennessee, Bray Hubbard from Alabama, and Isaac Smith from Mississippi State defensive back. We'll move up to the offense very quickly. And we'll go at quarterback. First team is Lenore Sellers. Running backs are Wisner and Moss, as we mentioned before. Wide receivers, no surprise here, Ryan Williams and Cam Coleman. Tight end, Eli Stowers. Offensive lineman, we have Caden Proctor from Alabama, Caden Green from Missouri, DJ Campbell from Texas, Austin Barber and Jake Slaughter, both from Florida. Second team is Garrett Nussmeier from LSU at quarterback, Jaden Ott, Oklahoma. Running back, Caden Durham from LSU, a bit of a surprise there to me as the other running back in the second team. Your wide receivers are Aaron Anderson from LSU and Ryan Wingo from Texas. Your tight end is Oscar Delp from Georgia. Your offensive line is Armaj Reed Adams, Trey Zune, Jaden Roberts from Alabama, Fernando Carmona Jr. from Arkansas, and Parker Brailsford from Alabama at center. And then your third team offense is Arch Manning from Texas, running back Nate Frazier from Georgia, and Jam Miller from Alabama. Wide receivers are Eric Singleton and Kevin Coleman from Auburn and Missouri, respectively. Your tight end is Jack Endries. Your offensive line is Ernest Green from Georgia, Chase Bezantes from the Aggies, Xavier Chaplin from Auburn, Trevor Gooseby from Texas, and Connor Liu from Auburn. Again, apologize for missing Willie there. There's a lot of names here, and I skipped it on accident. It wasn't intentional. We'll get over it and move forward. Specialists, first team. We have Brett Thorson at punter from Georgia, Peyton Woodring from Georgia. This whole list is Georgia, so we're just going to go Georgia. Punter Brett Thorson, place kicker Peyton Woodring, long snapper Bo Gardner, kickoffs Peyton Woodring, return specialist Zachariah Branch, and all-purpose Zachariah Branch, all Georgia, like I said. Second team punter, we have Jack Bowmeister from Texas. We have two place kickers tied with Trey Smack from Florida and Lucas Carniero from Ole Miss. Long snapper Rocco Underwood from Florida. Place kicking, we have Trey Smack from Florida. Return specialist Barian Brown, LSU, and all-purpose Xavier Thomas, LSU. And then third team punter, we have a tie again. Aiden Loros from Kentucky, Devin Bale from Arkansas. Place kicking, we have Alex McPherson from Auburn, long snapper Ben Anderson from Oklahoma, kickoffs, Will Stone from Texas, return specialist Xavier Thomas, LSU. And then all-purpose, we have a tie for two Florida players, Eugene Wilson III and Jaden Baugh from Florida. So good representation from the Aggies. We love to see it. I believe that maybe there should have been a couple more guys on here. I mentioned Tyreek Chappell. I mentioned Cassius Howell. Albert Regis is another guy that was left off. Not surprised Marcel Reed. There's a lot of good quarterbacks in the SEC. I think that by the end of the season, you'll find that Marcel Reed has sort of ascended into that conversation, at least going into 2026. But for right now, I think he's in the right spot. And I'm a little bit surprised Casey Concepcion didn't make the list. It's a little disappointing because I think he's going to be one of the top receivers in the SEC, maybe a top 5 or 6 guy. I'm not saying he's going to be number 1, but I expect him to have a big year and have a good chemistry with Marcel Reed there. So, like I said, quick show today. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Thank you for making Locked On your first listen of the day. For your second listen, please check out the Portal Show. Brian Smith has the latest news on rumors, portal entries, and signings across college football, and he will help you be the most informed fan on the rapid changes to the college football landscape. Find the Portal Show on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And don't forget to like the video, subscribe to our channel, give me a follow over at Texas A&M Aggies on SI and on X at Mac Galatzan. And we will see you next time.